What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Ash Survive Show. My name is Malik Harris.
My name is Derek Moore, by the way.
And this is where you come to.
Vibe with the tribe.
You turn around.
I thought we was gonna point. Not today.
Not today, good sir. So today we are jumping into Necrit breaking down the new cinematic, the one with Leblanc. Derek, I don't think was in the last reaction with it. I think it was me and Mackie, but we did just watch it just to catch up on it again, or to touch base on it again.
We also did touch on some videos with LeBlanc a little bit in the past.
Yeah. We've seen this
something.
cinematic version looking of her, like the newer age. So yeah, we're not, unaware of what's going on, but Necrit's definitely going to help us fill in those gaps. This I feel like opened up a lot of mystery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This wasn't like a crazy cinematic. It felt more like a movie scene, but and I mean it looks like his breakdown's only 13 minutes, which is kind of short for a Necrit.
Very short for a Necrit.
You know what I mean? So I imagine it's not too much.
Usually on the lower spectrum. But...
Yeah. So we're not going to say too much. We're just going to jump into this one and see what he has to talk about, and then we have the new cinematic for season 2 that already dropped. We are a little bit behind because of just trying to get us all together. So we're doing a little bit of catching up. So we're going to hurry up and jump into this one, so that way we can go into the next video with some context.
I could really turn this into half an hour long video if I wanted to, but I value your time, so I'm only gonna increase it tenfold. So, let's all be honest here, Riot cooked. It doesn't matter if you are a fan of League of Legends, it doesn't matter if you are a fan of Arcane, that cinematic was great. And at this point, I'm not sure what's cooler, the fact that we are constantly getting high quality cinematics, or the fact that this is Fortige who is doing this. Meaning that all of this is aligning with Arcane. And let me tell you really think we are not gonna connect this to Arcane? Because even though we are taking a cinematic that is a bit less than 2 minutes long, the truth is, this cinematic is just one big tease. As well as a tease for the next season. As well as possibly a tease for the next champion. And so, you know what, let's just get into all of that. The cinematic begins with Atakan's helmet on a pedestal. But you can already see that it is missing Mordekaiser's runes, which were previously present in the comics. And that is...
Did you watch that, or did you go through the digital comic with us?
The digital comic?
Yeah, the motion comic?
It's not coming through my mind right now.
Okay, that might have been another me and Mackie thing. I think a lot of people missed that. We did a video for Sanhuzal? However you say his name, Mordekaiser, earlier Mordekaiser. And it had like his theme in it. It had voice lines, and
Mordekaiser. Oh no, I think I was in Mordekaiser.
You were in the original Mordekaiser, when he's like the afterlife Mordekaiser with the green and stuff like that.
I got you.
But there's the Sanhuzal one where he's more like Titan warlord type guy. Yeah.
A little bit more darker.
Yeah, we might even. I'll probably post that one at the end of this, just for people who haven't seen that. Because like I said, I feel like we dropped that at a weird time, and a lot of people were like, "Hey, you should go check out that Otacon motion comic." And I think just the way we grouped it was a little strange, maybe.
Is of course because with Mordekaiser being gone, or at least banished for now, Leblanc took the item that bound this demon, that being the helmet, and she bound it to her own will. In fact, that is what all the black goop is about. Atakan is still technically bound to the helmet. It is just Leblanc who owns it now. Now, the chances are that a lot of people watching this video will not have the context of all the other lore we covered. So let me quickly bring you up to speed. You see, from the very first cinematic we got right after Arcane for the beginning of the Noxian season, there was a whole new storyline that started developing. If you go back to that first cinematic, you can see that Leblanc is looking at something powerful on a wall.
Yeah,
at that time, we had no idea what that was, and so to us, it was just a symbol. After this, Mordekaiser's comic was released, where we learned about the lore of Atakan, a creature that was created through the fusion of Mordekaiser's best friend and a demon. But after Mordekaiser died, and then was resurrected, and then he died again, the demon fell into the hands of Leblanc. Which is where, at the end of that comic, we learned that Leblanc decided to unleash the demon from the helmet, so it could roam the land and sate its hunger. After which, the Demon's Hand minigame was released in League of Legends, which really told us what happened here. You see, in reality, Leblanc never freed the demon. The demon was always in the pale room which we've seen in the cinematic. It was all just an illusion in the demon's head. And Leblanc did all of this because she wanted to evoke the demon's memories. Through these memories, she could learn more about Mordekaiser's fall, she could learn more about the dark magic Mordekaiser was studying, she could even learn about the magical process of binding people to items and demons, but mainly she wanted to evoke the demon's memories to suppress the human side. Because again, as a reminder, Arcane is the merging of Mordekaiser's general and a demon. And with only the demon remaining, there would be no confusion with the memories, and so Leblanc could get the demon's knowledge. With that, she could learn where the powerful item she was after was hiding, and so after unleashing Arcane at the very end of the minigame, we learned that the powerful item was indeed a Darkin, and we learned that it was hidden in Ionia. And that is what brings us to this cinematic. Leblanc just managed to break Arcane from Mordekaiser's shackles, and she bound it to the Black Rose. And now, the story is about to continue. It begins with the amazing reveal of Arcane being rendered by Fortiche. And oh boy, does it look great. Again, if you are wondering why Arcane has human hands, it's not because he would be trying to mimic humans, like other demons who will lure them. Instead, in this case, it's because those hands actually belong to Katashli, who used to be Mordekaiser's general. But then, when Arcane steps back from the wall, the shot reveals the Darkin. Now first, during this shot, you can see all of those pink petals flying in. Where are they coming from? We don't know. We are dealing with Arcane and Leblanc and all bunch of illusions, so anywhere really. But the point is, of course, pink petals are related to Ionia. We can pick and choose specific scenes where they were used, including spirits and stuff. But more importantly, again, it is Fortiche, so this is full of details. So in this case, the pink petals are a massive contrast.
You see this back here, like this eye on this blade? Is that a blade?
That's the form of the Darkin, right there. Yeah, I can see the blade, but remember we was like a symbol at first.
Yeah, we were looking at it last time.
The symbol in the eye.
But I mean, the Darkin is it the Darkin in the blade? That's what because Aatrox is a Darkin that's trapped in the blade. That's
yeah.
That's all I was like. Is that or I feel like I can't even remember now. I know we went through that cinematic, like his breakdown of it, like what you were just saying, and you were explaining the symbol, but I honestly. I don't know if we got actual answers. I can't remember if we're still. I think we were all still guessing at the time.
Not to like just jump in the middle of the video like this, but this Darkin, like I really want to, like he said, if they're introducing shit, they might bring in another champion and stuff like that. Like I want to know what this Darkin is, or do people already know what this Darkin is?
Yeah.
People already know what this Darkin is.
That's the same thing I was just asking you.
That's
essentially what I was saying. Yeah.
My bad.
Is do we know? Is this Aatrox's ball? This is more so for you guys. You know what I mean? Or maybe for the rest of this video. Let's just jump back.
Yeah.
You might answer. I'm getting a little bit antsy. I'm like, what the fuck is this? All right, let's jump in this.
Classic Black Rose petals, which LeBlanc usually has around her. Now, when it comes to the image on the wall, you can see that the Darkin already looks slightly different. Before, in the first cinematic, in order for Riot to keep it more of a mystery, it was more vague. But now, the image has a proper shape. And so now we know that the Darkin, who is very likely gonna be the next champion, is a glaive. Which is something we mostly know about because Riot accidentally teased this on their social media. And so Vladimir then steps into the debate. And he calls the location the First Lands. This is a really cool nod towards League's lore. Because the First Lands is a very archaic word for Ionia. With the cool detail here being that Vladimir is old. It makes sense that he would be using old terms. But after this, Leblanc, actually calling it Ionia, mentions that it was just a doorway. After which Arcane teased her to come and claim her prize in his world. Now all of this is actually tied together. Because this is all referencing what Ionia is really about. With Ionia being a continent that is heavily connected with spirits. This is why these lands are full of the Akana, who are the good demons, or the Azakana, who are the lesser bad demons. And so it is likely that this is what Arcane is referencing here. Ionia is absolutely a land filled with similar beings, including something like Nocturne. And that is where the cinematic may get a bit confusing. Because apparently there was miscommunication with translation. You see, Vladimir mentions that Leblanc should be listening to her puppet, likely mentioning Arcane, but he adds that she has no host. Now, a host can have two meanings. A host, as in a body for a Darkin, because remember, the Darkin are the twisted souls of the Ascended who were sealed inside weapons, and they can be unleashed when someone picks up the weapon, after which the Darkin dominate their bodies. So in other words, the wielder becomes the host. So, for example, in the case of someone like Aatrox, we are not really looking at the Darkin, we are looking at the host, which is a twisted human being which picked up the blade. But the thing is that a host can also be a war host. Because remember, during the invasion of Ionia, Leblanc actually had quite a few squads in Ionia. For example, let's not forget the Sisterhood of War. On top of this, during the invasion of Ionia, the Grand General of Noxus was Borem Darkwill, who was manipulated by Leblanc like a puppet. So during his reign, Leblanc essentially owned the entire Noxian army. The problem is then that when this cinematic was translated into different languages, some languages used host as in a body, and other languages called it a war host. So now we're not exactly sure which one of these this is. Though I'm gonna assume that it is actually talking about a body, as in a host for a Darkin. In the entire context of this cinematic, that would make sense. Although there is another thing that could be mentioned. In the latest story which Leblanc got, and I know, it's crazy, we actually got a new story. It was revealed that Leblanc's clones are fully sentient. They are also spread across the entire world.
When was the last time that they updated a story on the web? I'm assuming that's on the main League of Legends website, right? It looked like it was, the way it was formatted. When's the last time that League got a new story? Because I feel like there's been so many other things going on, like with Arcane, I feel like with what they're trying to figure out with the game, how to connect everything. Yeah, like when we came in, 7-8 months ago, yeah, I know there hasn't been one in the past 8 months. So yeah, if somebody knows that, I would love to know that information.
Man, they snuck that shit in there. They snuck it in there while we was sleeping.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Exactly. I was gonna say, when the fuck does this even drop? There's so many things dropping around Leblanc and Noxus and everything right now that it's like, yeah. And again, we have the whole Discord and stuff, so we have, shout out to the Discord members, by the way. You guys are the goats. A lot of great members in there. We've gotten with the addition of Warhammer now too. We've gotten like 60, more than that.
Way more than that, I think so.
Yeah, we at least I'll say 50, 60 new people in the past month and a half, you know what I mean? And people are dropping the art section and Warhammer and League of Legends and stuff constantly, just keeping us up to date. And then, people, let's say for Warhammer, they're dropping figurines and stuff like that. So again, shout out to you guys. You guys are dope. You guys are keeping us on our toes. As soon as this dropped, as soon as the new cinematic dropped, it's in there immediately because we're in America, but there's people who are across the seas and stuff like that are getting it earlier than us. They're like, hey, we got this yesterday, just so you know. And I'm like, wait, don't tell me anything. I gotta wait all week for the crew to get together, so we can do this. So yeah, shout out to you guys again. And if you guys want to join the Discord, description, it is in the description below. Yeah. All right.
With the coolest part being, they all believe that they are the real Leblanc. So if you really twist it enough, Vladimir could be talking about the fact that Leblanc doesn't have a host, as in a clone in Ionia, but I don't think that's the case. Sure, the news story revealed that she had a clone in Ionia watching over Syndra, but after Syndra was unleashed, we can assume that clone was lost, but I doubt she wouldn't have another one around. So, to tie everything back, Vladimir is reminding Leblanc that she doesn't have a body that could become a host for the Darkin, after which he just casually drops a big lore bomb. Because he also mentions that the new Grand General would not approve another campaign in Ionia. This is big because it actually puts on some timeline for Arcane. So now we know that the Ionian invasion concluded just as Arcane finished.
Yeah.
So I guess Singed didn't really make weapons for Noxus, which also means that the Noxian invasion of Ionia likely happened during the first act of Arcane. And so after Arcane was done, Swain came back from the invasion of Ionia, he killed Borem Darkwill, and now Swain is the new leader of Noxus.
And I mean, when we watched Arcane, we kind of we kind of knew this because we talked about the fact that he already had the three-eyed raven. Remember at the end of it, the three-eyed raven was looking in the hole, the eyes popped up. So we kind of knew that it had to be after Ionia, because how else would Swain have gotten his arm cut off and gotten, you know, the power and all that good stuff. So, so it's good to get the confirmation. But yeah, I think that's something we were kind of aware of, you know what I mean? But we just didn't know like how they were gonna spin it or whatever.
I like how it's all coming back around full circle, you know what I'm saying? I started off with Arcane, you know what I'm saying? Started to learn about, you know what I'm saying, LOL, League of Legends. No, I'm just playing. But no, just bringing it back, and now I'm having a bigger piece to the puzzle.
Yeah, I like how the lore and Arcane, the story, are connecting more and more over time. I mean, obviously we know that the lore has evolved because of updates and things like that, but I just like how everything's getting melded together to where you don't have like the Marvel universe, oh, it didn't happen like this in the comic. I mean, yes, that is happening, but like you can't say that the more time goes on because they just update the lore, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be what this is, instead of just acting like they're two separate universes in the multiverse of, you know, what's going on. So yeah, I like that they're starting to piece it all together.
Yeah, it's making it make sense. It's starting to help me remember some of these 170 and ongoing champions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Of course, in the present days, Noxus is supposed to be led by 3 people, that being Swain, Darius, and a mysterious figure. But even within this context, Swain would still be called the Grand General. So we are not sure if the leadership of Triforix was already established. Anyway, continuing on. Arcane starts to get restless. He did all of Leblanc's bidding and now he wants to be unleashed. Which is where Leblanc starts whispering something to the demon. And for the most part, we can just speculate what that is. Because Arcane goes frenzy, we can assume that she teased him that she might release him after the entire task is done, so that after 1,000 years he can finally feast. Or maybe she just mocked him by whispering his real name. Because in the universe of League of Legends, if you know a demon's real name, you can completely dominate it with incantations. Unless she whispered that Arcane is gonna be the next host to the Darkin. That would be wild.
That is fucking
Also,
OD.
a cool detail here is that you can
That would
notice
be
the black
insane.
goop going from the helmet to Arcane. Once again referencing that he is still bound to the helmet. Also, the scene with the chains is indeed a reference to the emote you can get in the game. Now, next, Leblanc also mentions that losing her host was an unfortunate turn. So Leblanc likely
Talking
had
about
someone who was under her control who was planned to be the next host for the Darkin. The curious thing is that she is talking about all of this after Vladimir talked about the Grand General. So maybe Leblanc is talking about her losing Borem Darkwill? So it is possible she also wanted to use him for the Darkin, but then she also mentions the might of Noxus, which is Darius.
Yeah.
And this is where things get really confusing. Because again,
This
they
is
are
supposed to be
talking about
past
all
tense.
of this in the context of just talking about the Grand General not approving another campaign in Ionia. So they are almost talking about it as if Darius was the leader of Noxus. Now, it still should be Swain. Swain has the
That'd be
title
crazy.
of the Grand General. But if the Triforix is already established, then sure, Darius is one of the 3 leaders. The confusing thing is that technically they would call Darius the Grand General, which he's not. And so if this is not what they are referencing, then I have no idea why they are bringing up Darius. Though they are bringing him up for one reason. The big point is that Leblanc wants to go back into Ionia directly through Darius. She likely wants to manipulate him through whispers, as was hinted here, to launch another campaign in Ionia. And we know she's capable of this because in the latest story, it was teased that during the cinematic where Darius was fighting Trundle, one of Leblanc's clones was hiding in the Warhost. So she's already spying on Darius, and so the likelihood is she can manipulate him. Also, in this scene, I quickly want to point out, it is funny to see how Vladimir is respecting the demon, and he's constantly ready to fight it,
Yeah,
but
he's ready to
eventually he
blow his
also
shit back.
agrees to Ionia then. Which pretty much confirms that indeed, the next League of Legends season is gonna be in Ionia. And we are going there because Leblanc wants to find a Darkin there. And we are likely
What
gonna
about the
go
host?
there because Darius is gonna launch another campaign into Ionia. And best of all, we learned about all of this from an animation that was made by Fortiche. And there you have it, the newest League of
Nice.
Legends
Bro,
cinematic explained.
fuck.
I'll be honest, it is wild to see League of Legends lore being so good again. We've been waiting for this for 2 years. And now, in a hilarious twist, the lore community is eating the best. And so, hopefully,
Facts!
I fulfilled my duty with this video.
Nah, you did a good. Hey,
That was
you
good.
did your shit, Necrit. I ain't gonna lie, but you fucked my head up at the end, bro.
There was a lot of piecing together. I'm glad because we've seen a lot of these different things, but I always like filling in the gaps. And Necrit's very good at that. I didn't know what to expect out of this breakdown because I didn't feel like there was too much craziness, you know what I mean? Because it was just a scene compared to like a cinematic that's showing 3 different timelines and 3 different areas of the world and all that craziness.
Yeah, that's another thing for me too.
That was good though. That was very good. See, I was thinking as she was talking, or as Necrit was talking, and he was explaining that Darius was in charge. I was thinking, okay, well maybe this is when Swain went missing, like timeline wise, because there's a time period where Swain went over there to fight the war. He ends up getting the demon, and his arm gets cut off, and he just gets the demon, and then he comes back, and then he plans. No wait, he comes back and he plans like a revolt, right? And then he takes the throne from, I think, the previous general. Yeah, I think that is how it happened. Okay, never mind. Scratch that. I was about to sit here and try to cook.
You was trying to cook, and
the wrong seasonings. Wrong seasoning.
You took me here.
I gotta go shopping first. My bad. All right. Yeah, man, that was great. I'm ready to jump into the season 2 cinematic.
Yeah.
Again, been waiting all week for that because Mackie left out of town again, which is why he's not here. He's always on trips. His job takes him to a bunch of different places. His job outside of all this stuff. So yeah, let's just jump into the cinematic. I appreciate you guys. I'll try to link that cinematic maybe at the end of this. It should be out about the same time. Videos are always out on Patreon and on YouTube memberships a little bit ahead. Really, Patreon is, I don't have to edit it. It's uncut. So as soon as I, get it in the editor, do my thing, post that on Patreon, and then go through editing the video and stuff like that. So yeah, if you guys want to check that out. And by the way, shout out to all the Patreon members and all the YouTube membership people. You guys definitely not kind of give us information first because I see the comments and things that are highlighted separately, so I get them like before going into the video, and that might like help me to change titles of videos, or maybe I'll do something with the thumbnails, or they're kind of like my first line of defense in a way, you know what I mean, because they kind of help me fine tune certain things, and I've been noticing that more and more. So I do want to say I appreciate you guys. You guys are helping make this channel great, and then also I want to get to a point we're going to be adding a shelf in here with like our manga and stuff over there. And we're going to be adding a couple different things during summer. I also want to take, our reactions and stuff kind of outward in a sense. I'm not going to explain how we're going to do that, but there will be vlogs. There will be other things, mysterious things, you know what I mean? Maybe bringing people in, you guys will see in time. Again, if you guys want to see those updates first or behind the scenes, Discord.
Yeah. Hey. New things, big things. We're going to keep growing. We're going to grow with you guys and always and forever. Thank you for vibing, bro. Thank you, TT.
All right, y'all. Until next time. Much love. Peace.